All right, let's take a look at the ceiling fans in my apartment. So first up, we have a 36-inch Hunter Original. Got this new in box on eBay. It's from the early 1980s. Brown finish fan with pecan blades, cane inserts. So this fan came 2-speed from the factory, but I've converted it to 3-speed, which we're going to demonstrate here in this video. This motor is of course shaded pole and non-reversible. So let's start with a spin up to high. See where this fan would benefit from an isolation ring. Alright, let's take it down to the factory low speed. Remember, this was a 2-speed fan from the factory. This is now medium since we've converted it to 3-speed. I have 9-foot high ceilings here. All my fans are on stock down rods, so the viewing angle is a little different. All right, and now let's take it down to low. The 3rd speed, which I added. This low is very slow. It's about 11 RPMs. It's slower than the aesthetic low on a Casablanca IntelliTouch fan. The only purpose of it is just to look cool. It's going to take a minute to spin down all this way. if you like this speed and you have a 36-inch original, the way to do this is to add a 6.0 microfarad capacitor off the high motor leg. This is a shaded pole motor, so it comes from the factory with no capacitors. 2 motor legs, 2 different winding leads, a red and a blue for high and low, or what come down from the motor into the switch housing. So you run the 6 microfarad capacitor off of that high leg, and it gives you this as a low speed. It's very aesthetic. That's what greets me when I come home from work every day. Walk in the front door here, and I see the 52-inch original in the living room off, and the 36-incher here on my aesthetic low 3rd speed. I live in Florida, by the way, so it's normal to run the fans every day of the year. But then again, I'm sure Cole's doing that in North Dakota. So I have a great view of this fan anytime I'm in the kitchen here or the dining room. My bathroom's over here, so even if you're sitting on the can, bam, perfect view. You can even see the motor tag. It's facing this way. I wonder if that's on purpose. All right, so up next. Let's go into the living room. So this is a 52-inch Hunter original. Also new in box from eBay. Super Sleuth fan collectors will notice that this fan was made in 1984. This is the one and only year that originals were made like this. It's a 3-speed, non-reversible, shaded pole motor. We've got reverse air blade irons and an isolation ring. Those are both original to this fan. The cane blades were an addition that I got so that this fan would match the 36-incher over there in the kitchen dining room area. So this fan is 3 speeds from the factory, no modifications by me, totally bone stock. Let's give it a whirl. So here's high. Feels great. Moves a ton of air. Definitely earns its reputation as an original. I don't know if you can hear that wind noise in the video, but man, you can feel it in here. It's a little hard to tell at night, but the cool thing about these non-reversible originals is that with only one row of motor windings, there's more open space inside that you can see light through. And if the lighting on top of the fan comes through, like during the day, it looks really cool. The isolation ring really works wonders on this fan. Aesthetically, I don't like the look of the way it drops the blade irons down. So I'd actually taken it off yesterday, but the hum was incredible. I mean, you couldn't even watch TV on high or medium and even low. You could hear it, man. It sounded like a 20-inch box fan running on high. So for comparison, here's your 36-inch on low and the 52-inch full blast. Balls to the wall. All right, let's go slow those balls down to medium. It's a little fan collector humor right there. Medium on this fan's an interesting speed. I can't tell if it's the same as the low on the 2-speed version of this fan. Remember, the 3-speed shaded pole was only made 1 year, 1984. The year prior to this, 1983, and all the years before, it was a 2-speed shaded pole. And then from 1985, the year after this onwards, it was a 3-speed permanent split capacitor motor. But only for 1984, 3-speed shaded pole. What I had always assumed was that it was the same as the 2-speed fan they had been making. That's the model 22272, which is ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They made 1 million of them, especially in this finish, brown, with pecan blades. They're everywhere. That was a 2-speed fan, and theoretically it would be the same 2 speeds for high and medium on here, and they just added low. But this medium seems a little slower than the low on a 2-speed original. All right, let's go all the way down to low. Now, low on this is a nice speed, but it's a little fast for my taste. Since there's no capacitors in this fan, I can't play with any of the values because, well, there's nothing that has a value to play with. So this is a candidate for conversion to 4-speed. If I can find a 4-speed pull chain switch, then I can add a capacitor off of one of the 3 motor winding leads to give me a 4th speed. And I would be going for an aesthetic low identical to that. Imagine how great that would look on this fan, the 2 of them doing it together. Don't get me wrong, this low's a nice speed. And that's why I went for the 1984 model, so I would have it, because the 2-speed, it's a great fan, but it doesn't go slow enough. You either have to add a speed or use a wall control. But this fan is usable on its own. All right. So there we have the 52-inch original. Let's back up and see it. So here's the 2 of them together. You can see why I want to add a 4th speed with a slower low on that 52 that'll match this 36. The whole point of these fans is that they match. Well, Skylar, shouldn't you get an isolation ring and some reverse air blade irons for the 36-inch? I should, but that would look like crap, so no. These blade irons are elegant. Now, it turns out that for 1 or 2 years, around 1985, 1986, Hunter did make the blades, the cane blades, with the large holes that use the rubber grommets on the new web-style blade irons. The change from the old horseshoe-style blade irons, or reverse air blade irons, to the modern web-style irons was in 1985, along with the change from shaded pole to permanent split capacitor, meaning that 1984 here was the last year of no web irons. You had either reverse air here or the larger version, obviously, of these. The standard horseshoe C-shaped irons. In 1985, they switched to permanent split capacitor, and they changed the blade irons to the same ones that they use now, the web style, spider webs. But they offered cane for a year or 2 more after that change. So it's possible to get a set of irons that would fit this fan, be for 4-blade only configuration, that would fit cane blades and use the rubber grommets for their vibration isolation. And if I had a set of those, then I could take the isolation ring off of this fan, and that would improve the aesthetics dramatically. So that's a future wish list project. Of course, I could just get a set of the brown modern irons, drill the holes on these blades a little bigger, but why modify antique parts when you can just put them in storage for future use on another fan and grab some new ones? All right, let's move on. Next fan over here in my bedroom, we have a 52-inch Emerson / Sears Roebuck turn of the century ceiling fan. So the turn of the century was a design, specifically a vent hole design, similar to how we have GE vent fans, footprint vent fans, Panama vent fans. The turn of the century is a vent style. Sears came up with it, they owned it, it was their trademark, and they made a lot of fans with this look. They had different vendors make them. Lasco made them for Sears, Emerson made them for Sears. This particular fan was made by Emerson for Sears. They did this look for years and years, from 4 blades to 5 blades, variable speed, 4-speed, 3-speed, you name it. All the way from the good old fans of the early 80s to the cheap fans of the early 90s. Sears built that design for all it was worth. So, this particular incarnation of the Sears turn of the century is an Emerson 1895 series with a different bottom plate and the addition of some special brass blade badges, which I have chosen to not use on this fan because I like the aesthetic of the 1895 irons better. So Emerson took an off-the-line 1895 series. They used the high-end one from the remote control version that uses a 3-piece motor housing. Right? Took off the 1895 bottom plate, put on Sears' turn of the century design, moved the blades to the bottom of the 1895 irons, and then added the badges on top. That was the stock look. And out the door it went as the Sears Special. So this is a KB55 motor, 4-speed, arcless pull chain. It is in every way internally an Emerson 1895 series. Uses the same everything. Same canopy, same everything, with the exception of the motor housing trim. So, let's give this fan a whirl. Now, I have it on a very long pull chain that comes all the way down to my bed, so that when I'm laying in bed at night, and I wake up in the middle of the night and I want to change speeds, I can do it easily. Here's the spin up to high. will say this fan is pretty noisy. Doesn't bother me because I sleep with box fans on anyway. But definitely the lack of any kind of rubber isolation between the motor and the blades is noticeable with this fan. Also, it doesn't go tremendously fast on high. That's because the blades are so thick and heavy. Alright, this fan has 4 speeds. It's going to take forever if I don't get on with the show. Alright, so here's medium high. Medium low. And finally, low, low, aesthetic low. Still spinning down. Still spinning down a little. And aesthetically, that's just a beautiful fan. All right. So we've seen the 36-inch original. We've seen the 52-inch original. We've seen the turn of the century. Fourth and final is over in my closet area here. a blender fan. Yet another new in-box find off eBay. This is a 36-inch Emerson K63 blender fan. Was shown in a previous video in my store. So this is a 2-speed fan from the factory. Let me show you both the factory speeds. Here's high. Canopy rattles quite a bit. I need to install that up top. Got some screws coming in. If they're the right color, size, shape, make it look perfect. Even though it's not mounted on the stock hanger bracket. Now they are both going the same direction. That's just an effect of the camera that makes it look like the blender fan's going backwards. Alright, so let's cut it down now to low. Now this is another one of those fans that would be useless if it only had 2 speeds. Because you need an aesthetic low that doesn't do all the noise and air movement. So nice, it fits in this little narrow area here between my closets. You're in the closet in the morning, get your clothes out, look up, oh hey blender fan, how are you? So, I run this fan off of a 4-speed wall control. So we're going to slide that down to the lowest speed. With the pull chain also on the lowest speed. And that's going to give us a nice aesthetic low. Takes a minute to spin down. Okay, while we're waiting for that to spin down, let's do a tour of the aesthetic lows. So we have the 36-inch original. Followed by the 52-inch original. Not really as an aesthetic low, this one I'm going to add a 4th speed. The Emerson 8, turn of the century. It's really in 1895. Then finally the Emerson blender fan. I think it's about spun down, that looks more or less right. almost the same speed. The blender fan's going a little faster. Now I could get out some capacitors and a 3 or 4 speed pull chain control and make an aesthetic low on this fan that would match the 1895 over there, but it looks nice the way it is. I like leaving the fan stock when it makes sense to. So having said that, let's do spin downs in all these fans now. All right, back up to high. All right, medium low off. All right, there it goes, it stopped. All right, so we're gonna leave that on aesthetic level. And it's time for this one. Bring it back up to high. Medium low off. All right, that's the end of that one. All right. 1895 of the century. Turn of the 1895. That's about as fast as that one gets. Let's watch the spin down laying down the bed. 2, 3, 4 off. Okay, that might get annoying. Okay, I might be wrong, but I think it's actually just on the lowest speed. I might have miscounted. No, I was wrong. Oh well, no spin down on this one. Alright, off to the blender fan. Alright, here's the blender fan. Getting all the way back up to high. Blender down. If you guys can hear that background hum on the video, that's the 1895 right behind my head. With a metal flywheel, it is really a noisy fan. It's one of the downsides of 1895s. In fact, it's really the biggest downside. There's no rubber anywhere in that fan. Everything from the electrical box in your house all the way out to those wood blades is metal on metal. So they're not quiet. Especially as they're getting older now, the lacquer on the windings is starting to loosen up a little bit. Oh, that probably doesn't look so good in low light. All right, well, 40 minutes later, that's my fans. Y'all have a great night.